What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another Opposition Views. We found a Fremantle supporter, Drewzy, over at Freo Faithful. Mate, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be on. G'day to all of your audience. You've got an exciting side, and I'm absolutely terrified for this game Thursday night. But yeah, let's get into it.
It's got to be good, mate.
I was at the game Saturday night, the Collingwood-Geelong game.
Yeah.
Even though you lost, you still showed fight. You still showed heart. You can't be too upset with that loss, even though it is heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking, but look, Freo might get the full brunt of a Collingwood team on Thursday night.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I went to 2 games of AFL footy this past weekend. I saw the high heights of Collingwood and Geelong and how much character both clubs showed to be in to win it right to the final second of the game, which was a completely bipolar game to the one I went to on Friday night. The Dockers, I'm not even kidding when I say this, Luke. That was the worst game of football I've ever been to as a Dockers fan.
Oh, mate, it was the worst game of football I've ever seen on TV. So I can only imagine what it felt like to be a Dockers fan at Marvel as well.
Yeah, like to be in prime time, which we sort of cry out for to get a bit more recognition, and you dish that shit up, like, man. And then to know that we're playing the biggest club in the AFL the next week on Thursday night, it's like, geez. We're in the spotlight. JL's under the heat. But yeah, talk to me. How are your Pies travelling? Because after not making finals last year, it feels like you've sort of picked up where you left off. Bit of a premiership hangover last year, but there's no doubt that you guys are right back in the mix this year.
Yeah, look, it's last year was a bit weird, like, with all of our injuries and stuff, but then only falling just a couple of 2 points, thanks pretty much to that Freo draw.
Yes.
out of the 8, we if we had won that one, because I think we were up by, I don't know, about 30 or something points, and then you guys come back, and if we had won that, we would have been playing finals last year. But look, that's then, and this is now, and we're 6-2, and like you said, the fight of the Pies against Geelong literally right until the death. Like, we've seen Collingwood do this 22, 23. And to know that we sort of still have that in our back pocket is really nice. It just shows that the culture that we've built and Craig McRae's built over these last few years hasn't gone away. And although we put away Sydney and Brisbane recently, we still have, if we need to win in the last 3 minutes, 3 goals in 3.5 minutes is absolutely insane to think about. But again, we had a 20-point lead, and then we fluffed it, and it is what it is, and we take on the Dockers at prime time on a Thursday night.
Yeah, you speak about that fight that you guys displayed and what Fly has built for you Pies. Like, I hope you Collingwood fans don't take that for granted, because I don't think, other than Geelong, I don't know if there's another team, maybe Hawthorn, that in-game can really swing the momentum no matter how far behind they are. Like, the wins you guys have had over the past couple years, like that North Melbourne one last year at Marvel, you had no right to win that game. And you just find a way to win. And yeah, I hope you guys don't take that for granted. On the other side of the coin, every loss that Freo have had this year has been when we sort of get punched in the nose a bit, sort of in the first quarter. We cop that first jab. We just fold. And I think what you're going to see on Thursday night, if we're in the game early, we will be in the game for the distance. But if you guys can get on top of us early, we really find it hard to get the game back on our terms and hold that momentum where, you can sort of tell how we're going to play within the first little bit.
Yeah, and that's what I sort of alluded to on the preview when I was previewing this game, is that we can't let Freo get out to a fast start, kind of like what we did with Geelong. They kicked the first 3 or something goals of the game, and then even though it's 3 goals and it's the first quarter, you're still backtracking, you're still on the back foot, you still have to come back from 3 goals and then right the wrongs. And look, Fremantle, like I said, like I've been saying since since we lost to the Geelong, going up against you guys, you don't want to verse a team that's been beaten by the media left, right, and centre. They're still talking about you guys. So I saw training footage today. I don't know if you saw it. I can't remember who posted it, but the mouth guards were in and at Fremantle training, and they were just hitting each other hard. So I can only imagine what the response is going to be. And JL's, I don't know what you guys are saying internally, but his coaching future seems to be on the line. Getting done by St Kilda and losing, what were you guys, negative 48 in contested possessions and then clearances. That's not the Fremantle side that everyone sort of had as the top four. So although it looks good, on paper, and Collingwood, quote unquote, should win, it's not going to be that easy. Not at all.
Yeah, well, the contested possession and clearance stuff, it's sort of not easy analysis, but that has been our Onewood over the past couple of years. Last year, our clearance differential was ridiculous, and pretty much if you can beat us in that area of the ground, you're going to win against us. It's as simple as that at the moment. We're a little bit one-dimensional. If you can stop Caleb Sarong, I'm not sure if Harry Perryman plays closer on him or it's a bit of a midfield effort to nullify him. That really goes a long way to beating the Dockers. And that, when I said off the top that was one of the worst losses I've ever seen. No, the worst loss I've ever seen. It's because, one, the contested possession and the clearance numbers, with the squad that we have now, there's no excuse for it. The worst
100%.
losses I had in mind before that were sort of the last year of Ross Lyon, where our list was nowhere. We didn't have any sort of identity, but now that we've got this list, there is no excuse for it. You were talking about how we were cracking in at training. I'm pretty sure we crack in every week at training, to be honest. I don't think it's anything out of the norm. Caleb Sarong came out at had an interview after training today and was like, you can never question our effort. As a leader of the club, he knows that they're going to give 110% every single time, but it's just about sort of the decision making and where they direct that effort. It's not in terms of running hard, tackling hard.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, the JL conversation now is are you good enough tactically to make this team operate the right way, and is your message clear enough? The players seem to think so, and I'm not going to be saying sack JL at all. I'm not that type of person, but we sort of play better when our backs are against the wall, but the most sort of scary thing is that our character doesn't stand up. And, our ladder position isn't really that bad. I think we're 4-4, but when your character gets tested and it's built out of straw, that's the worrying thing. And you got a side like Collingwood who are going up against on Thursday who are the opposite of that. Every time you guys get tested, you guys seem to rise to the occasion and find another gear.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing that I've noticed over these past few weeks. Watching not all of the Fremantle matches, but watching some of the Fremantle matches. Definitely watching the match against St Kilda and what they were sort of able to do, and then you shift to Collingwood, and though we have our fallings, and like I said earlier on, we were up by 20 points against Geelong, and we had you look at the numbers, we were in clearances, contested possessions, but everything we were in the green, and we just didn't take our chances. So that's got to be
the better team on the night for sure.
Well, 100%, and credit to I'll give credit to Geelong, because that last quarter was something that I haven't seen from a side other than Collingwood, give that much of an effort. And not every team has a Patrick Dangerfield that can break open the game like that. So credit to them. They were incredible in that last quarter. But we should have, at three-quarter time, we should have been 5-6 goals up. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing when we do play you guys. I know for a fact that we're going to get chances. We're going to have all these inside 50s. Our midfield is pumping at the moment. But it's just about taking those chances, and I think it's very cliche to say, bad kicking is bad football, and you've got to kick goals to win games, but that's literally what it is. In the first quarter, we hit the post twice, and then we're missing shots that we usually get, or we're peppering the goals and then nothing comes out, or we're kicking it down the line into the forward line and then not lowering our eyes, and then the Geelong, De Koning and Blixars and whoever's down back are just marking the ball without any sort of contest from Collingwood players. So that's something that we need to definitely work on, is just taking our chances, because we are going to get chances. And, that's when you break down football into the simplest form, it's about, just literally just that, taking your chances and kicking what you should be kicking. I haven't seen the, what is that called? The XG sort of score.
Yeah.
But I would have assumed that, we should have been winning on expected goals and whatever. But as much as, I don't know how much people sort of look into that. But, that's one thing that I'm going to be looking at against the Dockers.
You're talking about your execution in front of goal. You've got our old man Shooter down there.
Yes,
which is it's crazy to think he's the third best small forward, or maybe even lower down the pecking order in that side with Bobby Hill and Jamie Elliott. What have you made of your attacking options this year? Because I think there's some pretty lazy analysis at times from people talking about Collingwood's forward line. They're like, you can't do much with Brody Myercheck as your only key forward. And it's like, he was their key forward during a premiership year. Like,
100%,
I don't think Collingwood's personnel, although it's elite, is really the most important thing. I think when your system is humming, you can have Mason Cox and Darcy Cameron play key forward at times, and it works. And Bo McCreary, guys like that, they're elite. So what do you make of your attack right now, and how do you see Freo's defence stacking up against it?
Well, look, that's the thing, right? So we recruit Tim Membry, and everyone's like, he's just going to play 3 or 4 games and not really do much. But he's become like the third best forward, the third best key forward that we sort of have at the club. And Dan McStay goes out with an injury, and you don't realise, I guess, as an opposition supporter and people that I've seen in comments and stuff, how much he helps our game, Dan McStay. So now without him, Mason Cox, he's bloody incredible. But so Mason Cox does play. He played last week against Geelong, did a couple of nice things, a good second ruckman, which we'll need against you guys. But from what I'm hearing, you mentioned Brody Myercheck, and I sort of talked about this off camera about some of our changes. But I'm hearing that Charlie West, our pick 50 from South Australia, will debut against the Dockers. Is my mail, and he looks the goods in the VFL. He's a big boy. Finally, we've drafted a key position forward that we haven't drafted probably since I want to say like Ben Reid or Nathan Brown, so it's been ages. But what I'm hearing is that West will debut and Myercheck will be given a bit of a break because of the short turnaround, because of the flight. His minutes were managed on the weekend, even though he kicked 4 goals, 3. So you probably don't want to manage him, but that's what I'm sort of hearing. They're trying to play the long game with these. We've been, we're the oldest team in the league at the moment. So you want to manage these guys, and it's good. It'll be good to see what Charlie West can bring. But that's just the key forwards. When you say Shooter, and Shooter's kicking a couple goals here and there, but what he's bringing, he had 9 tackles, not 9. That was Ned Long. He had 7 or 8 tackles on the weekend, high pressure acts, and he's that high defensive half forward, and he works in tandem with a Bo McCreary. But then you've got Jamie Elliott, who's kicking a bag. Bobby Hill, even if he's not kicking him, he's setting them up. And Lockie Schultz can sort of run around there. So I think our forward line, it's working a treat at the moment. But I think I think your defenders will be licking their lips now that McStay won't play, and possibly, is from what I'm hearing, Brody Myercheck won't play either.
What's happened to Myercheck?
I think management for heavy load, and then we've got 9 days break until we take on the Crows. So they've probably got eyes on that one. And this Fremantle game, like what I said in my preview, is that it's just going to be a free hit in the sense that we're going to see life without the older players. So, I'm also hearing that, and I don't know when this is going out, but Pendles and Sidey will be managed as well. I don't know how different that is to. So I had this news before the Cats game. So I think they anticipated winning the Cats game, which we, probably should have. So I don't know how much that's that changes. But I guess we'll see when the teams come out on Wednesday night.
So you're thinking Pendles, Sidey, Myercheck, all out. Anyone else?
Maynard, I'm hearing as well. He went for scans on his foot.
Playing or what?
I think they're gonna start picking up VFL players to play. Look, I'm hearing 4 or 5 changes, but again, that's what crazy. I was hearing prior to the Geelong game. So I don't know if it's changed a little bit because we lost and we need to sort of bank this win against the Dockers away. But yeah, there's a bit of a swoop scoop for you.
That's crazy. It's 4 premiership points at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it'd be incredible thing to see all these players be rested. I think our defence, although we conceded the highest score on the weekend, I don't think that was any fault of them. Like Alex Pearce and Luke Ryan still had really good games, but when it's continually coming out of the middle, it's pretty hard to play against.
100%. Yeah.
You've probably got us with your small forwards though, because we've sort of got Geordie Clark, Heath Chapman, but we're sort of missing like a Brandon Walker who did his shoulder earlier in the season. I'm not even sure when he's back. Yep. So although he's not like the best on the ball, he's a good lockdown defender. So you might have us there if you can sort of make the game not scrappy, but play to the strengths of your smalls. We got some incredible midfielders playing in this game. Brayshaw, Sarong, no Hayden Young. He's out with a hamstring, which is terrible news. Third time he's done that hammy in a short period of time. But yeah, Daicos and Penderbury plays some genuine greats of the game. What do you see the strengths of your midfield when it's really firing? I thought Daicos had a pretty good game, winning that contested ball on the weekend. But talk to me about the midfield and how you think it stacks up against the likes of Brayshaw and Sarong.
Yeah, look, what St Kilda were able to do to nullify Brayshaw and Sarong, I don't think they got over 20 possessions, either of them. So they sort of nullified them, and then they're your engine room. They were getting 35 plus in the few weeks prior to the St Kilda game. So you shut those two down, and it goes a long way into winning. But then looking on the flip side, you've got obviously look, Nick Daicos. What more can you sort of say about him? And he had a good couple of quarters. That last quarter, Mullen, I think, tagged him in that game, and then the last quarter just absolutely tagged him out of that last quarter. So he didn't have that impact that Nick Daicos does. If Steele and Pendles play, they're just the workhorses that do all the work. But the guy that I'm surprised with and who's been absolutely smashing it is Ned Long. So he's that guy that, he's the one that had 9 tackles on the weekend, a bunch of clearances through the middle. He's that other sort of workhorse, 22 years old, who is going to be red hot on Brayshaw and Sarong and, absolutely pressuring them. And Nick Daicos will be in and around there, but Ned Long is the one that's doing the dirty work. If this was like a mob or a mafia movie, Ned Long will be the one that's doing the dirty work, and Nick Daicos is just living off those royalties that he's bringing.
Interesting. What about guys like Perryman? Who else was I thinking of there? Like DeGoey, I suppose. Like where are those guys at?
So look, Perryman, I love Perryman in the middle, but he's been playing in the back line a little bit more just because, last week we didn't have Jeremy Howe and no Reef McGuinness either. But now we'll bring in Jeremy Howe, so hopefully that means we'll see Perryman more into the midfield because you got to remember that when he came over from the Giants, it was to play more midfield minutes. Yeah. So hopefully we see him more in the middle. So he'll be another one who kind of works really well in tandem with Ned Long and the tackling pressure and the pressure acts through that middle, but can win his own ball. Jordan DeGoey, mate, what can you say about him? He needs to fire up. He had 9 possessions on the weekend, 57 metres gained, and just it wasn't a DeGoey performance. He had a short preseason, but if there's a game where he needs to stand up, it's this game. He's in his prime. He's like 28, 29. And you sort of look at what Dangerfield can do, and DeGoey's a similar build, not a similar player when he's on his game, but similar build. And Dangerfield grabbed the whole entire Cats team by the scruff of their neck and said, "Come with me. I'm taking you guys to a win." And I think DeGoey can do that. It's just he just needs to work a lot harder. But then one guy who I'm really excited for is Ed Allen. So hopefully Ed Allen comes in, plays a full game. He's one that's going to be really, really big for us. So look, it's going to be. This is why I'm saying free. This is why I'm saying a free hit for us. We're going to see players playing positions that we haven't for a while and new to them. So it's going to be a really, really interesting game to see if they can go with one of the best midfields in the game. You guys have just got future Brownlow medalists coming out of every which way.
Yeah, well, there's sort of been a easy way to beat us, Luke. I think we are quite an easy team to beat at the moment, especially when you have the quality of the Pies. And for all the talk about Collingwood being one of the most hated clubs in the AFL, I've never had a problem with them. So big ups your Swoop army back home. It's going to be an interesting ruck battle with Luke Jackson and Sean Darcy. We still haven't got that mix right, and it looked pretty confusing on the weekend. But Darcy Cameron and Mason Cox both had pretty solid games on Saturday night.
Yep.
How do you see this game unfolding? And give us a prediction.
Man, how do I see this game unfolding? I think, look, like I said earlier, it's going to be closer than a lot of people sort of think. I don't think it's going to be a repeat of the St Kilda game where we're just going to come out and smash you by 70 or whatever it is. I think it's going to be an arm wrestle all the way through, and you just got to look at what sort of happened last year as well, and hopefully our players can give the ball back straight to the umpire so we don't give you guys a cheap goal straight in front. But it's funny that you should bring up the ruck battle. I think Darcy Cameron is having a career best year already. He's probably in line for an All-Australian Blazer, top 3 in the Copeland at the moment. But the beauty about Mason Cox with him is that because they'll work well in tandem. Mason Cox is a good tap ruckman, can jump forward when we sort of need him now that we're going to be playing a little bit smaller. And Jackson and Darcy kind of scare me because even though, like you said, they haven't been sort of working super well together, they're still 2 good ruckmen. And look at Luke Jackson; he's a midfielder. Like if he's not in the ruck, in the ruck, and then he just comes in, kind of like what Brodie Grundy sort of did. So I think it's going to be an arm wrestle all the way through. I still think it's a Pies win by about 20 odd points. But that's to me, that's a pretty close game. I don't think my heart can take another goal after the siren sort of game.
Yeah, you've had enough of those close games over the years, haven't you?
We have, yeah.
Yeah, Darcy, he's been back for a month now, and we've had high hopes for him for a long time, so he really needs to get going.
Yeah.
Jackson was probably our best player before he went out with the hamstring injury, but he's sort of built back up. So yeah, he's going to need to pretty much have a best on-ground performance if we are to win this and really impose himself.
100%.
People say, rucks, like they're not midfielders, they are a ruck, and Darcy Cameron is exactly that. He is a ruckman. So like
pure ruckman.
I don't know, like people can spin it different ways. You've got like your Tom De Koning, Luke Jackson types, and then you've got, just your classic ruck. So that's going to be an interesting battle. I see this game unfolding, like I said from the top, how we start is how we will finish.
Yep.
We played pretty well Friday night the week before. 3 primetime games in a row for us.
Mate,
we had the
not
Crows on Anzac Day, which was a good game. Last week was shocking. And if we're bipolar, we should show up this week.
That's what I've been saying. That's what I mean, yeah.
I hope our best shows up, but to be honest, man, I don't see us winning this game.
Interesting, okay.
What gives me hope is the amount of shuffling of the deck the Pies are doing heading into this.
Yeah, now that I've said that, you're like, hang on a second. Yeah. We might be bloody on.
But at the same time, I had Jake from Saints TV on last week, and he was saying like, oh, we've got this hole in our game, that hole in our game. I'm like, man, you're talking this up. We're going to flog yous. And then, we all know what happened next. Look, it could go one of 2 ways. We respond and show character, but I think, the Pies know how to test character. And if you can get us from the jump, which I hope doesn't happen, you might have a comfortable win. Yeah, and I haven't tipped against Freo in a long time in terms of like not having the confidence that we're going to win. But I think that last loss is really going to shake us, to be honest. I hope I'm wrong, though. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, I hope you're right, to be honest. Like, if I'm going to be honest, I hope you play right. Look, I hope we come out and, but the thing is, like, you guys, recently haven't travelled well, and then you go to Optus, go back home, and you guys are bullies there. So it's going to be a hostile crowd, but we play well against hostile crowds. So I think it's just going to be an incredible, incredible game.
Yeah, you've got good representation out in WA as well. So
that's what we love. We love our WA. We love our WA fans.
Yeah, there should be 50k there or so, or maybe the Dockers fans won't show up after last week. Been a 20-year member, man, and that was the first time I've ever left like proper early.
No
it was
way.
Three-quarter time job. It was bad.
Far out.
Yeah, and no regrets.
No. I don't blame you.
I've been through the highest of highs, which haven't been that high, and the lowest of lows, and that took the cake. But look, we have the chance to swing it around this weekend. Luke, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for doing this sort of joint view with us. You got the opposition views. I've got the oppo view. And go check out Luke. He's one of the top Collingwood creators. Thanks for joining me on the oppo view tonight.
Mate, thank you for having me and thank you for being on Opposition Views. I appreciate it. And yeah, look, I'd wish you luck, but I don't really want to, mate.
It should be a good game. All the best for the weekend and hopefully the best team will win, which will
You
probably
do, brother.
be you.
Enjoy. I'll talk to you on Thursday night.
Beautiful. Cheers, mate.
See you, mate.
Lovely.
Beautiful.
Pleasure.